Today, we're going to talk about something that's happening inside you, right now, millions of times a second. It's a process so fundamental, it's literally the engine of life itself. We're talking about the cell cycle. This is the story of how we grow, how we heal, and yeah, how a perfectly normal system can go terribly, terribly wrong. So let's get into it.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive from MedEasy-Forum. You know our mission here. We take these huge, complex medical ideas and we try to make them make sense. And believe me, today's topic is right at the heart of, well, everything.
So I want to kick things off with a little bit of a riddle for you. Think about it. What on earth could possibly link the absolute miracle of a child growing bigger every day, the everyday magic of a cut on your finger healing over, and the complete chaos of a malignant tumor? I mean, they sound like total opposites, don't they? One is about life and the other is about disease.
Well, the answer is actually incredibly simple, and it's really the whole point of our discussion today. Every single one of those things, the good, the bad, and the essential, it all starts with the exact same biological event. A single cell making the decision to divide and become two. It's amazing, right? Both perfect order and total chaos start from the very same place. Okay, so before we can understand how things go wrong, we absolutely have to get a handle on how they're supposed to go right. So let's first explore the beautiful, precise, and super regulated rulebook that governs normal cell division. At its core, cell division is really just that. It's making new cells from cells that already exist. This is how you went from a single fertilized egg to, well, you. And it's how your body is constantly rebuilding itself, replacing billions of cells every single day. You can really think of it as the engine that drives all of life. Now here's something that might surprise you. The actual division part, that's just a tiny fraction of the cell's life. A typical cell spends about 90% of its existence just getting ready. It's all in a phase called interphase. Think about it like an actor who spends months rehearsing for a performance that only lasts a couple of hours. That preparation, it is everything. And this prep work happens in three really important stages. First up is the G1 phase. The G stands for growth. The cell literally gets bigger, it bulks up, and it duplicates all of its internal machinery. Then comes the most critical part, the S phase. S is for synthesis. This is the point of no return. Here, the cell makes a perfect, complete copy of its entire DNA blueprint, every single letter. And finally, there's the G2 phase, where the cell does a final quality control check, grows just a little bit more, and gets everything perfectly organized for the main event. And for most of our body's cells, that main event has a name, mitosis. Honestly, the best way to think about mitosis is the body's perfect high-tech photocopy machine. The whole goal is to create two new daughter cells that are exact genetic clones of the original parent cell.
The process itself is this incredible four-step dance. You can remember it with the acronym PMAT. In prophase, all that long, stringy DNA coils up super tight into those classic X-shaped chromosomes you see in textbooks. Then, in metaphase, all those chromosomes line up perfectly in a single file line, right down the middle of the cell. Next is anaphase, where the two halves of each chromosome are pulled apart, heading to opposite ends of the cell. And last, in telophase, a brand new nucleus forms around each of the two complete sets of DNA. It's just this stunning piece of biological choreography.
But wait, we're not quite finished. We've got two nuclei with identical DNA, but they're still inside one big cell. The final act is called cytokinesis. The cell membrane literally pinches inward, like pulling the drawstring on a bag, until, poof, it splits right down the middle, creating two completely separate, brand new, identical cells. And just like that, one has become two.
And, for pretty much our entire lives, this amazing process just works. It happens millions of times a second without a single hitch. But what happens when that perfect order, that perfect control system breaks down? Now we're going to shift our story from precision and rules to what happens when control is lost. We're moving from order to chaos. This is so important to understand. Cancer is not some alien invader like a virus or a bacteria. Cancer is us. It's our own cells that have forgotten the rules. It's a disease that is defined by one thing, the complete and total loss of the strict regulations that are supposed to tell a cell when to divide, where to divide, and when to stop. The absolute best way to picture this control system is to think of a car. In your cells, you have genes that act like the gas pedal. They're called proto-oncogenes, and their job is to tell the cell, okay, go, it's time to divide. Then you have other genes that act as the brakes. These are your tumor suppressor genes, and their job is to say, whoa, hold on, stop. We need to check for damage first. Cancer really starts when mutations break this amazing system. For instance, a mutation can hit a proto-oncogene and turn it into a hyperactive version called an oncogene. This is exactly like the gas pedal getting jammed to the floor. The cell is getting a constant, non-stop signal to just go, go, go. At the same time, you might get another mutation that takes out a tumor suppressor gene, like the famous one called P53, which scientists call the guardian of the genome. And that's like your brakes failing completely. So now you've got a car that's speeding out of control with no way to slow down or stop.
So this total loss of control creates what you could call a rogue cell. It's a cell that just doesn't play by the rules anymore. It's gone off on its own, and it develops a whole new set of really dangerous characteristics. These cells are master cheaters. You know those safety checkpoints we talked about, the G1 and G2 phases? Well, cancer cells just blow right through them. They divide even if their DNA is a complete mess. Normal cells also have something called contact inhibition. Basically, when they bump into their neighbors, they get the signal to stop growing. They respect personal space. Cancer cells, they lose that entirely. They just keep dividing and piling up on top of one another, creating a disorganized mess. And with every single broken division, they collect more and more mutations, which just makes them more and more aggressive.
Okay, so our normal cells have another incredible safety feature built right in. At the very tips of our chromosomes, we have these little protective caps called telomeres. You can think of them like the little plastic tips on your shoelaces that keep them from fraying. Or, even better, think of them as a biological countdown clock.
Here's how it works. Every single time a normal cell divides, those telomere caps get just a little bit shorter. And after about, say, 40 or 50 divisions, they get so short that it triggers an alarm. It tells the cell, hey, your time is up. You are now retired. You cannot divide anymore. It's a brilliant way to prevent old cells, which might have collected damage over time, from reproducing forever.
But cancer cells, they find a stunning way around this. They figure out how to switch back on an enzyme called telomerase, which is normally turned off in most of our adult cells. And what does telomerase do? It rebuilds the telomeres. It adds length back on after every single division. It's like it's constantly resetting the cell's countdown clock back to the beginning. This gives the cancer cell a truly terrifying power, immortality. It can now divide forever.
So let's recap. We now have a cell that can divide forever, and it's doing so completely out of control. But how does this problem, which starts with just one single cell, become a disease that threatens the entire body?
Well, it takes two more very dangerous steps to get there. First, as this pile of cells grows bigger, it gets hungry. So it sends out these chemical signals that trick the body into building new blood vessels directly into the tumor. This is called angiogenesis, and it's like the tumor is building its own personal highway for nutrients and fuel. Second, the cells learn to break free. They detach from the original tumor, get into the bloodstream or the lymph system, and travel to other parts of the body, where they can set up new tumors. This spread is called metastasis, and honestly, this is what makes cancer so incredibly dangerous.
So let's just put it all together and look at the stark contrast. Normal cells, they have controlled division. They know when to stop. Cancer cells divide uncontrollably, forever. Normal cells respect their neighbors. Cancer cells just pile on top of each other. Normal cells have a built-in expiration date, a finite lifespan. Cancer cells become immortal. Normal cells need signals from the body to survive. Cancer cells become dangerously self-sufficient. It really is the ultimate biological picture of order versus chaos.
And that really brings us to a final, bigger thought. We often think of cancer as this evil, monstrous thing. But when you really break it down, you realize it's just a corrupted version of the beautiful, elegant process that allows us to exist in the first place. It's our own cells breaking their own rules. And it just makes you stop and think, if this is what happens when the rules are broken, just how incredible, how mind-bogglingly delicate is the balance that's required every single second of every day to keep us alive?